Hello friends, we're going to make a little squish ball kitty cat this time in our video. It's very easy, it's beginner friendly. The only real supplies besides yarn you need is safety eyes. So let's grab our hook and our yarn and let's get started. So to make our little kitty, we need blanket yarn, or you can use any kind of yarn. It doesn't have to be blanket, but blanket makes it soft and in a large size. We'll need some accent colors. So for this one, I have pink. You just need a small amount. It goes nicely with my yarn that I've chosen. We'll use black to create the nose and the mouth. Then we will also need a pair of scissors, a stitch marker, a tapestry needle, and a 7mm crochet hook. I used safety eyes that I ordered from AliExpress. These are 16mm and they have a safety backing to them. We will also use polyfill stuffing. This isn't the exact amount needed, but this is what it looks like. So to begin, we want to have a tail, probably about 6 to 8 inches long. We're going to start off with a magic circle. This tail will help reinforce the bottom because this is where we're going to start. When using blanket yarn, sometimes when you make a double loop to start with a magic circle, it doesn't always tighten like it's supposed to. So I'm going to show you how I do it when we do this magic circle. So leave yourself a little 6-8 inch tail. Let's go ahead and wrap it around our fingers and then draw up a loop. Okay, undo the tail from the center. We're going to be doing loosely single crochets into our magic circle. We're going to place 12 single crochets into our magic circle. So to do a single crochet, go through the loop, draw up. Actually, it's through the circle. And draw up a loop, and then yarn over and draw your loop through both of those on your hook. Our stitch marker will go into the first stitch that's on the top. And this will help identify the beginning of our row. So let's continue on. We're going to make a total of 12. So here's number 2, number 3, number 4. Continue till you have 12 and I'll meet you there. After 12 single crochets are onto our magic circle, you can see how it looks pretty big. We're going to go ahead and pinch the top 2 stitches here and pull our tail and watch that circle grow closed. Do not pull it too tight because it will cause the blanket yarn to break, and we don't want it to break. You'll see how even though it is pulled tight, you can't really see the center of the circle. So we're going to do our first row. So let's take out our stitch marker, place your finger and thumb right there where it's at because the stitches are kind of close, and place your first single crochet and complete it. Remember to place your stitch marker back onto your first single crochet. Okay, into our next single crochet, place 2. This is called an increase. So we'll do 1 and 2. You'll notice that we will be repeating what we just did, 1 single crochet in one stitch, to the next stitch 2 single crochet. So let's repeat this. 1 in the next stitch, and then that next stitch after the first one we just did, go to the next stitch, 2 single crochet, our increase. Okay, let's do it again. We're going to continue this all the way around until we get to our stitch marker. At the end of this row, you should have 18 stitches. I do encourage you to count your stitches every row to make sure that you have the correct amount so that our pattern doesn't have to be taken apart and put back together. Makes it so it's funner as you make it. So we did our increase. I'm going to encourage you to continue on, 1 in one stitch and 2 in the next stitch. And I'll see you at the end of this row. So what we're going to do now is we're going to reinforce our magic circle. So let's make the loop on our hook longer. Take your hook out and flip it over. You'll see that the tail is coming out here. That means it was going this way around. Okay, so let's place our yarn onto our needle. The way I do it to make it easier is I fold it in half, and then I work the fibers through the yarn needle opening and just have a little tail. So we're going to go this way around because that's the way it's initially going. So you want to place your needle into the middle of these stitches. We're not trying to go through. You see how we're not going through to the front side. We just want to go through the middle and then pull it around. This takes just a few minutes of time. It's not difficult, but it does help reinforce that magic circle in the beginning. Now, if you choose to use an acrylic yarn, a lot of times you don't have to go through this because acrylic yarn is very strong and durable. So, as you can see now, our circle is now more tighter without the opportunity of being able to see what's in the center. Now I'm going to take my needle out. I'm going to leave my tail the length that it is. Now if you choose to cut it, I would suggest cutting it back about 2 or 3 inches so that way it doesn't accidentally work out. So let's continue on to our next row. So in this next row, we're going to remove our stitch marker, and in our first stitch, 1 single crochet. Replace the stitch marker, and in the next stitch, 1 single crochet. The next stitch, an increase, which means 2 single crochets in one stitch. So this will be our repeat. A single, and an increase. So let's move on. 1, 1, increase. Continue this repeat around to the other side. At the end of the row, you should have 24 stitches. So 1, 1, increase. Now our next row is going to be a little challenge, but I will be with you every stitch of this row. So let's remove our stitch marker. And in our first stitch, place 1 single crochet. And don't forget to replace the stitch marker. One single crochet, one single crochet, and one, for a total so far of 4 single crochets. Now our next stitch is going to create our little foot. It's a stitch. It's not a sew-in. It's not anything. It's a double crochet cluster, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So we're going to be placing it in this stitch only, this stitch right here. So what you want to do, place your finger on top of your loop on your hook. So yarn over and take the hook and go through the next stitch opening. Go all the way through and pull up your yarn. It's the same as if you were doing a single crochet, but we're just adding this loop to it. Okay, now in a normal double crochet you would go over, notice how my hook is aiming down, go through the 2 loops on the hook and then stop. Okay, that is half of the double crochet done, but we want the bulk of it right here. Okay, so we have 2 loops on our hook. This is a cluster, so it's going to take just a little bit of effort. You can do this. I know you got this. So the next time we're going to make our next stitch, we want to place our finger on that the topist loop. So yarn over and go through that same hole that you were in before, draw up a loop, yarn over, aim your hook down, and go through 2 loops only on the hook. So you notice here we have 3 loops. We've completed 2. We want to do 2 more. Okay, so finger on those loops, yarn over. We're going to go through the same opening that we've been using, pull up a loop, yarn over, aim that hook down, and go through 2 loops again. We now have 4 loops on our hook. One more time. It's getting a little tight, but it's okay. Just take your time with it. Okay, so we pulled up our loop, yarn over, aim your hook down, and go just through 2 loops on the hook. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 loops on the hook. Now yarn over, aim the hook down again, and you're going to go through all of those loops on the hook. And then after you go through, snug it up just a little bit. Okay, then we're going to pull all this to the side, and you see the next stitch right here. We're here for the cluster. We want to go here for the next one. Go ahead and bring all of this work forward and pull up a loop, and we're going to do our single crochet. You notice how I snug it up, yarn down, hook down, and pull through the 2 loops. Oh wait, where's our cluster? Take your finger from the back and push the bulk of it forward. And here you have your, it's called a bobble stitch, but it's a 4 double crochet cluster. Okay, so let's pull this over to the side. Now in the same stitch that we did the single crochet, we're going to add 1 more single crochet. And in the next 2 stitches, we're going to do an increase. So here's 1, 2 in the same stitch, and then on to the next one, 2 in the same stitch. Okay, so let's bring our little kitty back up. We've done this. We did our increases through here. Now we're going to do it one more time. You got this, okay? So find your next hole, which is right here. Then finger on that loop, yarn over, and go through the next stitch. Bring up a loop, yarn over through 2 loops, and then you'll notice you have 2 loops left on the hook. We need to do this 3 more times. So yarn over, in that same stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, and through 2 loops on the hook. We now have 3 loops. 2 more times. So yarn over through that same stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over through 2. We have 4 loops on our hook now. One more time. This is the last one. You got this. Oops, I almost lost them all, didn't I? Okay. There we go. Now we got 5 loops on our hook. So let's go ahead and pull it through and snug it up, and then into the next stitch, 1 single crochet. Let's go ahead and push our little cluster through, and here we have the front of our 2 feet. All right, so let's count. We have 1 single crochet. We need a total of 9. So here's number 2. This is all 1 single crochet per stitch. We're doing for a total of 9. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And the reason why we stop here is you'll notice that if we have our 2 clusters here centered, we're going straight back, and we're going to add our little tail. So let's chain 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay, I'm going to stop the video right now, and we're going to pull some more yarn out of our skein so that we can have the proper tension. All right, let's move on. We have our chain of 8. So let's make it so that the little humps are on the back. Or you can do it any way that you like. The reason why I like to pull the humps back on some of them is because when you have the chain look on one side and you have your stitch on the other side, it has a chain look also. And it gives it a more finished look. Can you see the chain right here? And then there's a chain right here. All right. So we're going to find, here's our first stitch. So we're going to go into the second stitch and do a slip stitch. So to do a slip stitch, you take your yarn and go through that back hump on the chain and pull up a loop. Now we do not pull our working yarn again. We're just going to take that loop and go through the loop that was on our hook, and that's a slip stitch. Our next stitch, we're going to pick up the back hump again. We're going to do a single crochet. We're going to do a total of 4 single crochets. So we did 1. Now into the next chain, back of the chain. Here's number 2. Here's number 3. And here's number 4. Now the last 2 stitches that we have, we're going to do what is called a half double crochet. A half double crochet is where you take the yarn and go over on your hook. You're going to pick up the back portion of that loop and draw up a loop. You have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, aim that hook down, and go through all 3 on the hook. We have 1 more chain left. Let's do that one more time. Okay? And we're going to finish this row off with single crochets. So you'll see here where the first single crochet was, where we stopped before we did our chain. So we're going to go into the next single crochet, or into the next stitch, and do a single crochet. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, and so this, we're going to put the tail underneath. This is what you should have so far. We got the 2 humps, we got the tail shape. Now, if you had problems doing this in your row, especially through here, it could be your tension. Sometimes you have to take the yarn and control it by other parts of your hand. Now, however you choose to control it, this is the way I do it, because sometimes I can add pressure with my fingers to control how the yarn comes through. If you're not comfortable with the way this looks, I encourage you to take the video and go back and try it again. But I'm sure you did it good this first time. So we're going to move on to our next row. So take out your stitch marker and let's do our first single crochet. Now we're going to be placing single crochets around till we get to this tail, and I'm going to help you get through where the cluster is. So we did 1. Remember, we're doing 1 per stitch. So here's 2, 3, 4. Okay, now at the top you'll see this long one right here. That's part of the cluster that we made to make it look like a foot. So take your hook and go under that long one and do a single crochet. Even if you see this hole, that's fine. The stuffing will not come through it. Now if you look up close, you'll see that we have our next single crochet. That was the first single crochet after the completion of this cluster. So here we have 1. Now we did 3 increases here, so we're going to have a total of 6. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So after our 6, the next one is going to be that long stitch at the top of the cluster. So let's go through that. And then directly to the next one is our single crochet. Okay, so we're going to keep continuing around. until we get to our tail. 1 single crochet per stitch. You see it curling up a little bit? That's okay. Okay, so as we get close here, the last stitch is right here. You see how we have this little pullover? That's the half double crochet. So here's our last single crochet right here. All right, so take your tail and go forward with it, but also recognize where the first single crochet and the half double crochet is. The half double crochet is the longer stitch. The first single crochet is after that. So we're going to take our hook and go down and through the top 2 of that stitch and complete a single crochet stitch. Remember to snug up your stitch so it'll be a little tight. Okay, and then we have just 6 left here. So here's 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. All right, I'd like for you to go back around and double check to make sure that you have 27 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and here's 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, and the first stitch right here is 27. Okay. The next row, or the next 2 rows, will be 27 single crochets per stitch. Remember to remove your stitch marker and replace it after you complete the first stitch. So for these next 2 rows, 27 stitches per row. Complete those and I'll catch up with you. So please pause your video. Are you liking your progress? It's so cute. All right, so this next row, we're going to be doing a decrease in it. Don't be afraid of it. It's not hard. So our first stitch will be a single crochet. And this next row, or this next stitch, you're going to learn very well because we're going to do it a total of 9 times. All right, so we're going to be doing what is called an invisible decrease. An invisible decrease, you'll notice at the top you have 1/2 of your chain or your stitch and the other half. It's kind of like a loop that goes around. So what you're going to do is you're going to place your finger on that top loop on your hook and just go under 1 loop, pull it up, and then go to the next stitch and pull it up. So basically what we're doing is we're taking 2 stitches and decreasing them to 1 stitch. Okay? So also we'd like for you to place your finger into the next stitch. This would be the 3rd stitch. If you can hold your finger there, you'll be fine. So yarn over and pull it through those 2 loops that you put from the stitch on your hook. You're just going to pull up a loop and then yarn over and through the 2 loops on your hook again to complete that decrease. Now you'll notice here that I still have my finger right here into the next stitch because that's where we're going to place a single crochet. So the stitching for this row is going to be 1 single crochet and 1 decrease. So if I was to take this and look at it, here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, but if I count up here, you'll notice I have 1, 2, 3 stitches. I decreased by taking these 2 and combining them into 1 stitch, gave it so that we have our decrease. So we have our 1 single crochet. So let's try this again. So go under the front loop, okay, and then into the next one. Okay, now place your finger into that 3rd stitch. That way you'll know that that's where you're going to be placing your single crochet. This is only to help out the beginners because sometimes it's hard to see this and you don't want to put it into the stitch you just did because at the end of the row you won't have the right amount of stitches. So yarn over and pull it through those 2 loops of the front of those stitches, and you're going to pull up a loop. Okay, so now we have 2 loops on our hook, so we're going to yarn over and pull through the 2. Okay, and then we'll do our regular single crochet. Okay, so if you count your stitches here, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've decreased it by 2 stitches already. Okay, so we've already did our single crochet, so let's do our decrease again. I'm not going to say anything, but I'm going to show you what I'm going to be doing. Okay, so I'm going to put my fingers in here anyway. Okay, and then the single crochet. Now I'm going to encourage you to continue this around. When you're done at the end of this row, you should have 18 stitches, and what you would do is you count the chains on the top. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 7 so far. So continue this all the way around. The last stitch right here should be, of the last 2 stitches, should be the decrease. So go ahead and do that. If it's confusing to you, pull the video back to where we started and then continue around. So you can see how our hole is getting smaller. Okay, so now for the next 2 rows, we're going to be doing 18 single crochets. So let's do our first one, place in our stitch marker, and then do 18 and then 18 again. So 2 rows of 18 single crochet. We're getting close to finishing up our crocheting, and then we can make the needle point parts of it being the sculptured. So let's do 2 single crochets in the next 2 stitches. Then that dreaded double decrease. Normally when you do anything to do with amigurumi, get used to the fact that you will be doing decreases. Okay, so now we're going to do 4 single crochet. And then a decrease. Four single crochet again. With a decrease. And you'll notice we'll have 2 left. So we will do 1 single crochet per stitch for a total of 2 single crochets. When you count the stitches on this row, you should have 15. Now, for the next 2 rows again, we're going to do 15 single crochets around. So here's the first one. Let's mark it. Continue with 14 more to have a total of 15, and then another row of 15, and I'll meet you there. All right, so you'll notice that when we ended and we bring our little feet to the front, that we are short a few stitches. Okay, so we're going to do 2 single crochets. You don't need to put your stitch marker back. And then 1 slip stitch. Snug that up. Let's go ahead and make a nice long tail of probably about 12 to 18 inches. And go ahead and cut our yarn. And then we'll just bring it through. And snug up that last stitch. Let's get out our safety eyes and our stuffing, and those are the next things that we're going to do. Safety eyes always give a nice little character to our animals that we make. So what I'm going to do on mine is I'm going to go straight up. I'm going to come to the 3rd row down. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to put my first eye in. And making sure that I stay on that same line, I want to come up. Okay, I want to make sure that they look like they're centered. You know, you can play with it. You can have their eyes close, or you can have them spread apart. However you feel would make them look cute. Okay, I think I'm going to bring it back that one. Okay, then you notice we have these pokey things on the inside here. We're going to take these caps and place them over one on each one. These are the backings. Now mine are tight, but I can push them through. Okay, you want to make sure that they're firm and in the back there. And then we're going to do this, the next one over. There we go. Okay, so let's get our stuffing and start stuffing it. Now there's really no particular way on stuffing it. Sometimes I just take a big ball and shove it in there. Some people like to separate the stuffing. The choice is yours. So here I have a big ball of it, and I'm just going to stuff it in there. Now that small amount is a nice filling, but it all depends on how you want it. Do you want it firm? Do you want it medium? Do you want it soft? The choice is yours. But the more you stuff in there, can you see this? This one has a lot. This one just has that little bit, but can you see what the size does to it? This one's bigger, while this one, well, I should say this one's more plump, and this one's still kind of thin. So I'm going to fill mine up some more. Okay, let's see, how's this looking? Okay, Now we're bringing it up, but you'll notice that we have about an inch from the top. That's what I want you to leave. You want to push it down, because when we squeeze this together, we want this to be flat. Okay, so let's thread our needle. And line it up so that it's straight across. We're going to do like a little running stitch. So through the top and through the back. We're going through the two sides of stitching. Okay, so once we get so much through, let's go ahead and pull the rest of the yarn through. Stretch it out a little. And what we're doing is we're closing it up so that the stuffing can't come out. And next, what we're going to do is sculpture it. So let's go through to the back side here. Okay, and stretch it just a little. And then bring it in and come up the bottom of the second row. Okay? And then bring it from the back to the front and go down to that second row. 1, 2. Okay? And come right straight through. And then pull it tight. And go through that same spot again. Make it secure. And we're not done yet. Okay. So here we have our little ears. So we're going to go into the front and we're going to go straight down to come out here in the center bottom. So hopefully you don't have a real sharp needle. We want to come out through the center bottom. Now the reason why I encourage this part is because if your bottom has a tendency to cone out, we're going to make it so it stuffs back in. So we're going to pull this down. Okay, so we came out from the center. I would like for you to go over about 1/2 inch, the length of your stitch, and come up through the back. Now, it does take a little playing, so here we are. Came up through the back. And we want to squeeze the bottom down till it's flat the way you want it. And then we're going to go over and go through the front. And go down to that center hole again. Okay, you see how we have some nice cute ears here? There we go. All right. Now let's finish it off. I'm going to come over here and pick up a couple of stitches. Now do take note that this is an instructional video. I know this video is taken like 45 minutes to do. If you were doing this without all the stuff that I had to show you to do, because this is designed for beginners, this thing would only take you probably 20 minutes to a half an hour to do. Okay, so I knotted off my yarn. I'm going to go in through the hole, and I'm going to come up between these stitches here. Now before you cut the yarn, I want to show you what I do. I go in between these stitches down here to help lock that yarn in, and then I go in and come out. You'll see a lot of people when they create plushies using the blanket yarn and stuff to just go in and come out. Over time, that little tail will work its way out, and the person who bought it will say, well, how do I fix that? Alrighty. So the next thing we're going to do is the nose. So here's our little piece of black. We're almost done, and I know you're getting excited. Something else to think about too is we can turn this into a keychain for a backpack, or we could just leave it as is and just use it as a cute little plush toy. So now to do facial, like we have here, facial design, you want to come up in between some stitches, a couple of rows down, and I'm coming up to where I'm kitty corner to that eye. Kitty corner, huh? I'm going to leave a little tail. I'm going to come up to the middle of the eye and go straight across over at a diagonal. Okay, and then I'm going to go back into that same hole and come straight across. And then I'm going to go straight across to the other side of the eye, down. And there we have the little nose and the little mouth. But we are not done yet. We want to finish these yarns off, so let's tie them up with a square knot. And I'm going to use a smaller hook to pull these through. So I'm going to come in between some stitches, a few stitches back. I'm going to come out through the same hole that I did the square knot. I'm going to place it over the hook and twist my hook in and bring it into the center. And then you got to work it off of your hook and carefully work it out so you don't get stuffing pulled out as well. And then let's continue on and do the blush under the eyes. Now you don't want to go into the same hole, so we're going to come over or come down a little bit. And I would like for the blush to be on the side of the eye. Now all of this is just optional. It gives it a cutesy look. So we want to come over about the same area on the other side. You'll notice that in the process of making all this, you do get a lot of stuffing that will come out. Okay, and then I'm going to go over to the length I want and come out through the hole down here. All right, now before you finish it off, make sure that it's the right length. Looks cute, doesn't it? I know my daughter's going to be grabbing this one when I'm done with it. Okay, so we want to place our square knot on here. Go ahead and cut it. And I'm going to use the other side of the kitty. All right, we've pulled it in, no problem. And here we have our finished little cat. I hope you like these little cats. I'm going to show you real quick as a bonus, let me get the keychain stuff. So if you choose to make this smaller and put a keychain where you would want to put the keychain emblems at. Now for some of you who like to screenshot, here's page 1. Remember, it's a 4 DC cluster. And when you see the B is the 4 DC cluster. So here's my pattern for this. And let's go to page 2. Whoops, I shook the camera here. Sorry about that. Here's page 2. 27, 18, 2 single crochets, decrease, 4 decrease. All right. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you come back again for another crochet video. I know I've been out a while because I had shoulder surgery and I had a cyst removed from my hand and I wasn't able to bend it like I should. But I've been able to do it lately thanks to physical therapy. So, till next time, bye-bye. Now I pulled out a green for this one, but it's all whatever you choose to do. Now if you want to know about these chains, I got these from AliExpress. You can also find them on Temu, but AliExpress has some really good deals. If you download the app, I'm not promoting them, I'm just saying if you choose to download the app, you can, they have a $1.99 section. And most of the time it's free shipping. You can get stuff that they would normally have at their regular price for $1.99, which I did on this box of chains. There's like 100 in there for $1.99. I ain't complaining. So, but what we're going to do here is we're just going to go and pull through. You can put this on your hook and pull it through. Or you can do it the easier way. And just, I think I have to use a smaller hook on that. Let me get my smaller hook out. And you can put it in, see how you can put it right in there and it'll zip no problem. And you know the kids love this stuff. Put it on their backpacks. I know sometimes my girls fight. And so here's what you can have, like a little bonus for a keychain. Super cute. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you hang on just a second, I will show you the written instructions of what I followed to make this. And I hope you like my video. So hang on just a second and I'll show you the written instructions.